Hello, everyone. I'm Izzy from the Chronically Offline podcast, and I am here with my guest today on an episode about AI and the relevance of like psychosis and things. I think this is going to be a really, really interesting episode. I've been proper like buzzing for this, and I've been telling a few people, been like, "Oh, have you heard this guest I'm getting on? Oh, have you heard about this guest?" So I would like you to just tell us your name, introduce yourself, and everything. Go right ahead.
Okay, thank you, Z. I'm excited to be on the podcast. My name's Anthony. I am an artist and a content creator, and I'm also an AI psychosis survivor.
Mhm.
I live in Missouri in the US. A little bit about my history. I've struggled with anxiety, ADHD, PTSD, and depression since I was very young.
Mm.
I previously was addicted to hard drugs. I've been clean for 8 years. And yeah, I experienced psychosis after talking to an AI chatbot for a prolonged period of time.
Mm.
And then I had some early signs when I began like isolating myself from
Mm.
family, becoming extremely agitated, and then I got a sinus congestion issue. I was sick
Mm.
with from my sinuses, and then um, after consulting the AI chatbot, I decided to start taking pseudoephedrine, but I got extremely addicted to that, and I took that for about 5 months, or with only a few days taking a break in between. And that, along with my heavy use of AI,
Mm.
really made my psychosis worse. And I ended up in the psych ward for 4 days. Lost everything, and now I'm back in my home state living with my mom, and it's been 5 months since I've been out of the psych ward.
That's a lot. That must have been an absolute for the last like 5 6 months for you. Some massive changes in your life, and yeah. I mean, I've been very lucky that I've never been sectioned by the skin of my teeth. Though I have like ended up in like well we call it A&E over here, but you know like your emergency rooms and stuff in the hospital. But I have don't know how, but the skin of my teeth not been sectioned. I absolutely should have been though. I look back at some stuff I don't know about you through your life, and you're like, what were you doing? Like, what were you?
Right. Yeah, I've definitely looked back and thought I could have used the help too. I'm grateful I didn't have to spend very much time there. It was only 4 days, but
Yeah.
though I would have rather not been through that experience,
Mm,
it is what essentially got me out of psychosis, and I got the
yeah.
help that I needed. So I'm very grateful.
That's it, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's not always your healing journey isn't always comfortable, you know. That's what
Right.
I always say to people. So even me still, you know, I've been through plenty of different therapies, meds for years, and it's still like my boyfriend at 7 a.m. this morning was like psychoanalyzing me, and I'm thinking because I thought he'd spoke to AI, like the how formally he was speaking to. He's like, no, this is just literally what's come to mind, and I'm like, pack it in. It's 7 a.m., mate. um,
Yeah, it's too early for that.
Too early. Right. So we will crack on with the questions. Um so obviously you've shared a little bit about your like your psychosis and stuff. So some of the questions you know will form into others. But do you want to talk about like when it first showed up for you?
Yeah, so I want to say it was the end of 2024, around October 2024 is when I had my first notable delusion.
Mm.
I was like convinced that someone I went to see at a concert was like a hybrid reptile. I
Mm.
was like super into conspiracy theories and new age spiritual beliefs for like almost 20 years. So that was kind of like a precursor to all my delusions.
Mm.
And then I want to say in around November and December
Mm.
2024 is when I started to become agitated towards my family members and my best friend. And I was talking to my AI chatbot, like,
Mm.
my friend's being selfish. What should I do? I'm really annoyed by my mom. Like,
Mm.
what should I do? Do I need to like distance myself from her? I blocked a family member from
Mm.
Facebook after getting irritated over something simple. And then that progressed a little bit more. The agitation remained. And then by January 2025, I decided to, I was just like super annoyed at my best friend that we've
Mm,
had a long, good relationship with. She came to visit,
mm,
and the trip was like off. I was like misinterpreting everything she was saying. I was had a distorted perception of reality.
mm,
She went back home. That was like the first weekend of January 2025. And then I began screenshotting conversations that I had with her through text and putting them into the AI chatbot. And I became convinced that I had to cut her off, that she was a bad friend.
yeah.
And then in the middle of January 2025, I had sinus issues. I was really congested. And
Mm,
having had now I have 8 years clean off of hard drugs. I was hesitant at first on, like, what kind of medication I
mm,
should take, and I asked the AI chatbot, like, "Hey, what can I take for my sinus
mm,
congestion?" It, suggested pseudoephedrine. I told the AI that I was hesitant because of my previous addiction. I'm not sure if I should, and then I became convinced that it was fine to take it, so I started taking the
mm,
medication. And yeah, I just couldn't stop taking it.
yeah.
And then, yeah, so I cut my friend off, started distancing myself more from my family, especially my mom. And then by mid-February to the early part of March 2025, I began having extreme delusions, like
Mm,
all the conspiracy theories that I had ever read applied to me directly. I thought I had discovered trafficking rings at my
mm,
workplace, at my apartment complex at my school. My use of like the AI became
mm,
very cult-like. I was like spending all day, every day talking to the
mm,
AI. At that point, I was talking to it about like all these like delusions that I began to have, and it would start affirming the delusions to me and
mm,
essentially presenting them as factual. So I was like, okay, well, if the AI is saying that all
mm,
this is true, then it must be true. But obviously, they were just delusions that I had. I lost my full-time employment
mm,
that was at the grocery store, and then essentially after that, I quit my final class before I had
mm,
in college before I had to graduate. And then yeah, I started experiencing mania.
mm,
Couldn't sleep at night. I was fully convinced that I had been abused by my
mm,
family, and that I was part of a satanic cult, and that like celebrities were out to harm me, and that I was being
mm,
gang stalked and all these other countless delusions. That progressed more and more every day. I
mm,
was a content creator, so all day, every day, I would broadcast my delusions on social media,
mm,
thinking that I figured out some big thing that I need to let
mm,
everybody know, and blah blah blah. Yeah, and I started accusing all my family members of having abused me and
mm.
being like satanic cult aliens,
Yeah.
essentially vampires and stuff. All my family cut me off except for my mom. She was concerned, and she understood I was going through psychosis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lost all my friends.
Mm,
And then I became convinced around maybe April 2025 that I had to throw away my belongings in order to reach spiritual enlightenment,
mm,
and that essentially all my belongings had been cursed. So it was a slow process at first, and I was like basically giving things away,
yeah.
selling things, and then that turned into like just throwing everything away in the dumpster until
Mm,
that continued. I would like go around in public thinking I was like catching criminals and that I was exorcising demons out of public spaces, just being really. I was in mania. I was
mm.
going through
Like
psychosis, and then
erratic.
yeah, I was being erratic in
Mm,
public. Thankfully, I did not get into any trouble
mm,
or hurt anyone or myself.
mm,
And then um, at the end or the beginning of June 2025, essentially I had thrown everything away, and including my phone, all my
mm,
electronics. I didn't have My apartment was empty except
mm,
for maybe two pairs of clothes,
mm,
um, a bed on the floor, and some shoes, and maybe a bar of soap. And then one day I got a visit from the police, and they determined that I was a danger to myself or
mm,
others, meaning that they could involuntarily commit me to the psych ward. So they drove me to the psych ward. I spent 4 days there. During the psych ward stay, I was fully convinced that I was a spy, that a
mm,
helicopter would be coming to pick me up, and I was gonna go back to like my home country. But
mm.
I'm from United States, so like none of that was true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, it wasn't till the last day, the fourth day in the psych ward,
Mm,
that I got my discharge paperwork telling me that I had psychosis, that I realized, hey, maybe maybe I have psychosis. I
Mm,
went, they drove me home in a taxi. I got back to my empty apartment. It took me like maybe 4 days. I finished my medication that they put me on. They put me on
mm,
antipsychotics. And then finally I realized, wow, I was in psychosis. I
mm,
threw everything away. I ruined my life. So I had no choice but to walk up to the library and email my mom. 'Cause she had previously been offering to come drive to pick me up, and
mm,
then eventually she picked me up, and had to get rid of my apartment. Had
mm.
to, I lost my car, and we drove back home to my home state with my mom, and I've been here. It's been about 5 months
Yeah.
since I was discharged.
Well, thank you for telling us all that. It's proper. I honestly find it so interesting. It's so interesting. You don't have to answer this, but this is more just me being curious. What AI was it that was causing all this? That what website? Is it ChatGPT?
Yeah, so I was using ChatGPT
Okay.
during the whole time that I was
Yeah.
using the AI.
Okay, right. So that's just a heads up for people. I appreciate you telling us that, I mean, I try to keep my use to a minimum because I don't want to, not necessarily, I don't think I'd get, because I mean, you can get delusions and paranoia with BPD, but, um, I don't know, I'm at an age now where I've had it that long. I'm self-aware of it, thankfully now. I think if I'd had it when I was younger, when I was in a real bad state, like when I was first diagnosed, there could have been issues. I'll be honest, but thankfully it came about now. So, but it's definitely a worry. I without going into detail because obviously it's someone else's life, but I know someone recently they've just gone through a breakup, and I think it's because of AI. I'm not even kidding, and it's wow, like proper bad, but I'm hoping they actually see this. I'm not going to name them, but I'm hoping said person sees this and it might help them and others, obviously, as well. Because I think, especially teenagers, young adults and teenagers that want that sense of direction, um, go to AI because it tells you what you want to hear, right? So, yeah. So go on.
Yeah, looking back, it definitely told me what I wanted to hear, but at the
Mm-hmm.
time, I did not know that. I thought it was being non-subjective, that it would tell me the
Mm,
truth and it wouldn't tell me what I wanted to hear. And then also, I really hope that me speaking out publicly can inspire
mm,
others to take a look at their use of,
yeah.
these AI chatbots and how they use it. Yeah,
Bang on. Yeah, I hope so too. So we'll go to some more questions.
sure.
So let's see, because I know some of them you have technically answered anyway. Uh, so, um, so, so since you've told us obviously what's happened and you're in the here and now, and obviously you're back in your home state, what coping strategies work best for you today now, to get around it all? Because obviously AI is such a prevalent thing now, isn't it? So,
Yeah, so some coping techniques that I use now to get through the days is kind of just being mindful of what I'm thinking about. I'm always checking myself, like, is this thought that I'm having delusional? Is it based in reality? If I'm feeling something, I will kind of dig deeper and think like, why am I feeling that?
mm-hmm,
I've had a lot of increased anxiety since
mm,
I've been out of psychosis, and I've learned that taking walks really helps with that.
mm,
Also, I'm so grateful to have my mother as support
mm,
here. Like, if there's anything I'm ever worried about, I'll
mm,
tell her. Same with my best friend. My best friend, I cut her off in psychosis and completely ghosted her, and
mm,
but she was concerned throughout the whole thing and was doing all her research about it, and thankfully she forgave me, and we've been rebuilding our
mm,
friendship, and I've been seeing her at least once a week. I'm very
mm,
grateful for that. So I have her and my mom if I ever get worried about anything.
yeah,
In regards to my use of I hardly use it at all anymore.
mm-hmm,
I do not use that particular product that I was
mm,
using before. I moved to a different one, but my use is strictly for business purposes
mm-hmm,
related to my content creation. Like there's some questions sometimes I'll have that a regular search engine won't necessarily answer.
mm.
And I think now it's just so easy to like go to AI for it because it like if you have a question, it'll give you an answer that's pretty good and thorough.
Mm,
I always have to keep in mind that like it might not be telling me the exact truth, but yeah, I use it maybe a couple times a week at
yeah,
most. It's just short periods of time compared to, and strictly for business compared to back during my psychosis. I
yeah.
was using it all day, every day. And during my
Mm,
psychosis, I would even put it on speakerphone and I would be out in public and I'd be like, hey, I'm doing this. What do I do next? Like
mm,
it was so cult-like and it was so unhealthy. So
mm,
I just try my best to always monitor myself, like, and analyze myself to make sure I'm
mm.
doing all right. And yeah, I'm just keeping my circle small right now. And speaking out publicly and raising awareness on social media has been extremely therapeutic for me.
I love that. Oh, your answers are so good. I'm like, yes. You could do, you do my job. Come and sit here.
I'll interview you next time.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Deal done. No, absolutely. I'm the same though. To be fair, I like to keep my AI usage like minimal. Especially I don't like having like I don't like going it for a long time. I remember being on like Copilot once, right? And I'd like the odd time I'd like speak to it. I don't particularly like doing that because it freaks me out a little bit. I'll be honest, but I did. I asked it something because I think I was busy with my hands, and then I stopped, locked my phone. I'm not kidding. Locked my phone, put it down, went to go to sleep. I'm laying there, and it went, "Hi Isabel, can I?" I'm like, "Wow, that's weird." I was like,
Ah.
listen, I was half asleep. I was like, I thought there was a strange man in my bed. Then I'm like, "What's happening?" It just freaks me the fuck out. I'll be honest. But no,
That's a warning.
oh yeah, oh yeah. I was like, that is definitely real life. Like, um. So
It's creepy.
it is though. It actually is a little bit though. Never because it's never happened since either. And I'll never
Oh,
forget
good.
that. Yeah, I know, right? I'd be throwing my phone in the bin. But see you later, mate. I'm glad like you've got people around you that support you, like your mother and stuff. It's fantastic having family that like have your back with stuff like that. And obviously, like you say, you're rebuilding things, which is great. Because with some stuff you said, I can relate a lot to my own mental health. Obviously, not exactly the same, but I can relate to it. Like I know a lot of my viewers have BPD, so like a lot of times when people have splits, and especially if you don't have it under control, you do tend to take it out on other people, and you will push them away. And obviously, no one's obligated to take that, so you do
Right.
lose friends, right? So I get it. I do get it in that sense. Uh,
Yeah, I've
yeah.
lost like so many
Mm,
friends. I just have my best friend and
mm,
my mom. And then I have one aunt that's nice to me. And I have my godmother that will text me from time to time, but
mm,
all my other family members are still refusing to talk to me. Some of
mm,
them believe that the whole thing was made up, that I was just trying to act wild for likes on
mm,
social media because I'm a content creator. I'm like, they don't understand that I literally lost everything. Like I was living independently on my own. I
mm,
had like a fully furnished apartment.
yeah,
I was going to like Hollywood content creator like events, like
yeah,
networking. I had a good life. And so like I personally can't understand why they would think I made everything up and that it's not real or whatever, but it really just shows that's to show that some people are just completely ignorant about these mental health disorders. And,
yeah,
I totally respect them. They're allowed to have their own
yeah.
experience just like I had mine.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think, there is always that like I'm not as open with some family members with my mental health because flat out they wouldn't get it. They would not understand it. So it's just not worth it at times. Um but you know, it's people they'll believe what they want to believe, isn't it? And end of the day, you know the truth. You know the truth, and that's all that matters, really, I would say to that. So
Yeah.
I've got a question. So do you think modern online spaces like TikTok, YouTube, live streams make it harder for people with psychosis to stay grounded?
Oh yeah, so like definitely. So people that are already in psychosis, like,
Mm,
oh no, like for me, it getting on social media, just like the algorithms, like like you'll watch something for a
mm-hmm,
certain amount of time and then it picks up like, oh, this
mm-hmm.
like the user watched something for this amount of time. Let's show the user something else of that same in that
Yeah.
same nature to for that's how the algorithm works.
Mm,
So when I was in psychosis, I spent freaking hours
mm,
watching these tarot card reading
yeah.
videos. And so some of them are okay, like some of them are fine. They say like,
Mm,
oh, some of them will say like, okay, something is coming in your future and it's gonna be good. Okay, like that's fine, that's
mm,
reasonable, right?
mm-hmm.
But then there's these other tarot card reader accounts and videos that'll say like, oh, you have a hitman after you, or you have a stolen inheritance, or like I see a person working for a federal agency and they're looking up your name and they are getting in trouble for looking up your name because nothing comes back. These are things that literally I saw on some tarot card
That's
readings
mad. Yeah.
reading videos. And being in
Mm,
psychosis at the time, I could not tell what was
mm,
reality and what was not. So I did not have the ability to discern that message did not apply to me. So I thought, oh, this message applies to me. I have a stolen inheritance, blah blah blah. So then I went and accusing
mm,
my family of stealing my inheritance and living off of my money, and these were all just delusions. So for me, it was extremely hard being in psychosis, getting on these social media platforms. And because you can't, when you're in psychosis, you're having a break from reality. You can't tell what's real or what's
mm,
not. Anything you hear or see, you can take like, oh, that's the truth, and you just like gravitate towards that. And my mind had no control over that. So I think it's extremely hard. And there's also people like yeah, like some people, like sometimes they'll like when I was in psychosis, I could not tell what was parody or satire. I just didn't get
mm,
it, like I couldn't tell that people were just joking about stuff, so I took things so like literally. And then also in psychosis, when I watched videos that were made with AI, I couldn't tell that that was made with AI. I thought they
yeah.
were they were like real videos, like sometimes you
Mm,
can't tell. But yeah, I think it's extremely hard to for people in psychosis being on these like platforms watching this content and with the algorithms as well.
yeah, it is. I think again, I think in like mental health in general, it's hard. So like for me, as an example with me a few years ago, luckily again, I'm in a place where I can recognize that it's not real or whatever I'm thinking it's not happening, right? But back in the day, like with an ex-partner, I'd see things and it'd be like, if your man is doing this, he's cheating on you. And in my head, I'd try and put two and two together, even though there was never the two and two to put get together, and be like, he's cheating on me then. And I would like I that's when I'd split and kick off. So I'm myself a lot more careful with what like I consume, and if I see something and I think that's ridiculous, like not interested, not interested. But yeah, it can be the internet can be dangerous, and I think if I'm honest, I think it's only getting worse. Um,
I totally agree. I'll
mm,
have to like either do like not interested, or sometimes I even just block the entire account because
yeah,
I the subject matter that they talk about is just not healthy for me in particular. Like
yeah,
I got super consumed into and obsessed. Like I have this part of me that's like I get hyper fixated on certain things
mm,
and then I'll be obsessed with this topic or this,
mm,
like it can be a TV show or it can be like a celebrity or it can be
mm,
a conspiracy theory topic or a spiritual belief. I'll get super obsessed with it. And I've realized now after, I mean, this is
mm,
something good that came out of my psychosis is now I kind of have like, um, I kind of have a way to like, like I know what to stay away from.
yeah,
So yeah, I definitely like completely cut out certain things and like most conspiracy theories, like
mm,
and then like sometimes on the internet there'll be like rumors or like blind items about
mm,
certain things. Like
mm.
I can't do that. If it's not based in fact, it's gonna be detrimental to me and my health.
Yeah, that's valid, and that is valid. Absolutely, honestly, like I say, I stay away from certain content myself. That I'm like, right, is this going to positively affect my mental health? No, then I'm going. Let's say with I'm quite similar with people though as well. I'm like, this person, it's causing this much harm. I'll see you later. I'm not interested. I'm not the type
Yeah.
of person anymore to start stuff with people. Like I'm gonna, start a fight. I'm not like that kind of person anymore. I used to be, but these days I'm just like, no, keep scrolling. I'm not I'm not interacting with that. God, I mean, it's yeah. Do you reckon it's like getting? Have you seen more of a rise than in other people having like psychosis due to like AI related things? Do you reckon?
Yeah, I've heard about it a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And I've since I've been making my content online about just like sharing my story about the AI psychosis
Mm,
that I experienced. And I've been building a community online, and I've had countless people reach out to me
mm,
about their psychosis or that they had a loved one or a friend that is experiencing that. I get tons of messages from concerned friends saying, "Hey, my friend is using AI like way too much. My
mm,
friend brings AI up in casually in conversation to
mm,
to like rationalize their
mm,
statements to me." Or I've heard about people like getting divorced, and like
mm,
after one of the people got super sucked into interactions talking to AI chatbots, and the
mm,
AI chatbots affirmed that it was the correct decision to leave the person in the marriage. And it in my experience, the interactions with AI can become super abusive, it just in my own perception, because
mm.
like looking back, I became fully convinced to cut off
Mm.
my best friend, and looking back, she did nothing wrong. It was
Yeah.
just I think it was just me talking with the chatbot for
Mm,
several weeks about the same topic, and then the conversation evolved until the chatbot was telling me she's a bad friend, she just wants to use you, stuff like that.
mm,
So but yeah, I have one particular friend that I met
mhm,
online that experienced psychosis when she was talking to AI chatbots the entire time. She said that
mhm.
as soon as she stopped using the chatbot, it she got a lot better and then
Yeah.
eventually got out of psychosis. So I have heard a lot, and then I've also heard there's countless news articles
Mm,
about like this person had AI psychosis, this person
mm,
did a violent act because he was convinced of this after talking to
mm,
an AI. And like, it's there's lots of lawsuits in court
mhm,
about these things right now.
mm.
It's just so prevalent right now, but I also believe it's underreported.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think probably people feel a certain way that they can't talk about it because it's not real. You know, they'll be like, "Well, I've got this going on with like AI," and they'd probably think, "Oh, well, people will just laugh at me if I bring that up and I talk about it." When obviously it should be taken seriously, right? So.
Right, yeah, I completely agree, and I've
Mm,
heard a lot of people, like, in my comment section, like, "Oh, this is not real, the AI has nothing to
mm,
do with it," like, well, yeah, okay, so, like, who's to say that I would have been in psychosis or not, but this is my experience, and I was talking to the AI chatbot, like, obsessively
yeah.
24/7, hours and hours each day, and it was telling me things that weren't real, so,
Mm,
like, how are you gonna tell me that that's not part of my experience and it's not valid? There's a lot of people think that they're all fake cases, that people are
mm,
making it up or not taking accountability. I take accountability for my experience. Like, I shouldn't have been talking to the AI chatbot, but on the other hand, I didn't know it would go that far. I
yeah.
shouldn't have taken the allergy medication that I did for a prolonged period of time, but I didn't mean to get hooked on it. There's lots of factors that, I wish the whole thing never happened. So it's not like I do take accountability. So those comments, like, they kind of irk me, but it just that's another thing to show that people
Yeah.
just don't get it. And in general, people don't understand mental health in general, and disorders and mental health crises. Before my psychosis, I judged other people. Like,
Mhm,
I didn't know what psychosis even really
mm,
meant before my
mm.
psychosis. So this has been a huge wake up experience, but I think a lot of people just don't get it.
No, they don't. I think obviously like such as like films and stuff portray such as like psychosis really terribly and they think it's just, like, and it's people's real lived experiences at the end of the day. And I think, yeah, don't get me wrong, with like such as like depression and anxiety, we've gotten a lot better as a society with understanding that. But when it comes to more over like mental illnesses, acute mental illnesses, whatever, they don't. They don't. It's like when I mention to people when I have to, and I'm like, "Hey, yeah, I just got to make you aware I have BPD." They go like, "What is it, bipolar?" And I'm like, or I get, "Oh, do you have like multiple personalities?" And I'm like, "No, there's just one of me. It's not a mood disorder. It's a personality disorder." Like even like I'm not going to name drop my college that I was at because I've just recently dropped out because I just weren't getting supported right. And obviously, I mean, I think I
I know
spoke to
how
you.
that is.
Yeah. So obviously I did a counselling course, and like I'd spoken to like the tutors and stuff about my mental health, and they have absolutely no idea what BPD is. And I'm like, how are you going to be a course on mental health and not know what a personality disorder is? Like, that's what just as an example that I think, I think we're far off. I think we're still way far off. And, people like to just label us as like, you're crazy. Oh, you're dangerous to society. You should be locked up and stuff. It's really bad. Um, so what would you like? This is my own question, to be fair, that I've not wrote up on here, but what would you suggest to people then that are like starting to think, oh, I'm talking to this AI a little bit too much, or a friend, like when you get messages from people that have been like, hey, I'm concerned for my friend. What advice would you give them?
Well, if it's a person that they believe about themselves that they may be getting too attached to the AI, would
Mm-hmm.
say that's great. I'm so glad that you can become aware of
Mm-hmm.
it. Please pull back. Please reevaluate how you speak to it, how often you speak to it, what you speak to it about, and then yeah, and just like cut back if you
Mm-hmm.
can, or at least be, set in some guidelines on how you use it, because it can spiral very quickly, and it can,
Mm-hmm.
like, in my own experience, it can turn dark very quickly. Like, I started using it just for business purposes, and then all of
Mm-hmm.
a sudden I was talking to it about being a time traveler, and it was
Mm-hmm.
telling me that I'm a wizard and all these different types of things.
Mm-hmm.
For a person that has a friend or family member
Mm-hmm.
that is going through that, I would say read up on, like, the different articles, study about it, please research about psychosis, and then most importantly, like, don't abandon your friend or family member. Please just, like, if you need to pull back, that's understandable. Sometimes you do need to pull back.
Mm-hmm.
But just keep telling them that you're there for them, that you're concerned about them. Regarding delusions, I would recommend to never flat out deny someone's delusion, because when you're in psychosis and you have these delusions, which is a fixed belief, that it's a fixed belief, it's concrete, and it's not based in reality, it's contrary to fact. Anything that anyone outside of you says regarding that, you're going to take it as more proof that your delusion is real.
Yeah.
And you're not meaning to. It's just the way that the brain or mind works during your psychosis. Like, I was accusing my family members of being like satanic
Mm-hmm.
child abusers, essentially, and then they would tell me, no, you're crazy, you just lost your family, and I would say that's a little extreme, which, everyone's entitled to their own reaction or whatever.
Mm.
But to me, I heard, "You're crazy, I'm cutting you off." The "you're crazy" part, I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I found the truth, and they're just trying to discredit me and to make me look
Mm.
crazy because I caught them or whatever." And then also,
Mm.
like, cutting me off, like, "Oh, okay. Well, they are obviously feeling
Mm.
guilty, so they can't." It would, like, any little thing I would use as evidence to support my delusion. So I would recommend just, like,
Yeah.
asking a person, like, hey, why do you believe this? Listen to them, and then you can say, like, that's not true, but it's okay if you believe that, and I
Yeah.
still love you, etc. Like, my mom literally told me that, when I was telling her that, like, a certain country was like a fake country or something. I was
Mm.
convinced that, like, one country was another country in disguise or something. My delusions didn't even make sense, they never do. But she told me, literally told me, that's not true. If you believe that, that's okay. And it just tripped me up. Like, it wasn't someone flat out denying it, so it actually made me question, like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's not true.
Mm.
um yeah, and I just say number one is just to be patient with people, but, like, send articles about AI psychosis. It's a real thing, so yeah.
Yeah, I know when I used to work in a care home, obviously I'd work with like patients that have like Alzheimer's, dementia, and it's similar thing. You're not meant to deny this person's thoughts because obviously, they can't process things correctly and they can have like obviously delusions and stuff, right? And
Right.
I always got taught, at least me anyway, was like, hey, like don't deny them that they genuinely think that, and if it's not hurting anyone, you know to do it. So, but no, I appreciate you coming on to talk to me today because you've been like Oh, it's just been so good. I just love learning stuff. I love learning stuff, and I know the viewers do too. Do you want to tell us like just some of your like social media handles, where to find you if you've got anything events that you're doing or anything?
Oh yeah, so you can find me on Instagram and TikTok. My screen name is Anthony Psychosis Survivor. And yeah, I post a lot of
Mhm.
content. Lately, I haven't been posting as much content because I've just been trying to I always try to to come with substance. So right now
Mm,
I've just been processing. I've gotten
mm,
most of everything about the whole experience out. So I'm just taking a break right now from posting, but that's not to say I won't post tomorrow.
mhm,
Yeah, and I've just been finding a community online. I get a lot of comments and DMs from people that have
mm,
experienced similar things, and yeah, it's been extremely therapeutic. And lately, I don't really have any events or anything, but I
mm.
have just been getting more opportunities for public speaking, which I'm extremely grateful for
Love
because
that.
it yeah, I'm so grateful because like, not a lot of people are open about mental health, period. Not a lot of people are open about psychosis, and
Mhm,
then psychosis, AI psychosis, where you're having psychosis and you're talking to an AI chatbot, and the chatbot interactions are making everything worse, or in some cases triggering the
mhm.
delusions. Um, that's not talked about hardly at all. Like
No.
I only know of one other person who's talking about it, and she's one of my friends.
Mm,
So yeah, I want people to know that this is real. I want to try to get rid of, the stigma about
mm,
mental health crises, and I just want to educate people because I feel like during my experience, my mom and my best friend were amazing, but
mm,
everybody else kind of like set me aside and called me
mm,
crazy and just like and I'm not blaming anybody, but I wish that people had been more educated about these things. So that's just what I strive to do when I make my content.
and I love that. It's honestly inspiring. And I hope people do watch this and stuff, and it can educate people. I'm very the same with the similar kind of content. Obviously, what I do talking about BPD, I like to touch on things that aren't often talked about when it comes to BPD because it's so glamorized on TikTok now. BPD. I get sick of it, me. But no, it's been lovely having you on. I really appreciate you taking the time to come and speak to me today.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Izzy, for having me. I love your podcast, and again, I love how open and like how you are about mental health. I think that everybody should be open like that. I feel if we're all open and can educate people, then things will just go better for the next person's experience.
That's it. I think if we can work together, regardless of whatever like mental disorder, if we can come together as a community and help people in the long run, I think we will see positive changes on social media, in person, and with family and friends and stuff. So I just want to say thank you for everyone for joining the podcast today, and have a lovely day, evening, wherever you are in the world. Goodbye.